Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers come off another good road trip, continuing to be one of the best road teams in the majors. With their next 8 games at Globe Life Park, it's time to get their house in order. The homestand begins with a big series against the West rival Los Angeles Angels. And the Rangers would love nothing more than getting the holiday fireworks started early. Rangers baseball is presented by AT UVerse TV. Now that is a breezy but very comfortable early summer's evening here at Globe Life Park. The final homestand before the All-Star break starting, and the visitors for the first 3 games, the Los Angeles Angels. And welcome in everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you join us for this Friday night of a big holiday weekend, the 4th of July weekend. Big crowds expected here at Globe Life Park. Rangers looking to put on a big show. And tonight, in Game 1, they turned the game over to their 23-year-old right-hander, Alex Chichi Gonzalez.
Well, his start in the big leagues, Buzz, has been very impressive. In his last couple of starts, he's gotten off quickly in both games. First 3 innings, one against Oakland, one against Toronto. And then for the first time this year, he ran into command issues in both games. Had a little bit of a problem pitching out of jams in those games. But for a young kid testing the big league waters for the first time, he's been very impressive. His ability to use his sinker, his slider, mix locations and speeds has been impressive at the big league level. And hopefully he'll be the guy to get the Rangers started on this homestand and get off to a good start.
Yeah, coming off a 3 out of 4 series win against the Baltimore Orioles, Rangers looking to continue that momentum here at home against the Los Angeles Angels. It'd be interesting tonight as Josh Hamilton in the lineup for the Rangers, returning to play against his former team for the first time. So big crowd on hand here tonight. We'll come back with the starting lineups in the first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. By Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Well, great evening here in North Texas. Josh Hamilton getting set to face the Angels, his former team, for the very first time. Before we get things started here tonight, let's send it down to Aaron Hardigan.
Hey guys, great to be with you tonight with Chichi Gonzalez on the mound. I gotta say, it's been a privilege, obviously, to watch him in his first few starts here. And while he has struggled as of late, he should have all the confidence in the world tonight, knowing his manager is still very much behind him.
It's such a perpetual negative game that when you lose sight of the positive things that go on inside this game, that and you turn towards the negative, you hang on to that, it can sure eat you up. So just I really try to tell him to hang on to all those little positive experiences, and that he is a good pitcher, quality pitcher. He's only going to get better and learn from each one of those experiences so he can just continue to move forward.
Buzz, Tom, I don't know about you guys, but Rangers may or may not have the best manager in the league at working on that game between the ears. He always knows what to say, doesn't he?
That he does, Aaron. Very accomplished with little experience at the helm of a big league club, but he certainly knows what he's doing. Knows his way around the media also. Well, Tom's going to tell you now about the Angels lineup that Chichi Gonzalez will face.
He will face leadoff hitter Johnny Giovatella, the second baseman. Cole Calhoun bats second in right field. The third and fourth hitters are two of the best in the business, Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. Eric Ibar, the shortstop, will hit fifth. David Freese is the third baseman. Matt Joyce hits seventh in left field. The DH is C.J. Cron, and batting ninth, the catcher Carlos Perez.
And that lineup now will face Chichi Gonzalez, our progressive scouting report on the right-hander, 2-3 with a 259. Needs to use the advantage that he has in not having faced the Angels before. They are not familiar with him, and I guess saying trust your stuff is a little bit simple, if you will, but that's exactly what he needs to do. And he also needs to stay away from a couple of things that have gotten him in trouble the last few times out, and that's the big inning that kind of spiraled out of control. And he said after each time that, yeah, I knew I was doing it and I couldn't stop it right away. And he has worked on the mental side of that with Mike Maddox, and they've come up with a pretty good game plan for him. We'll see how that unfolds here this evening. And let's take a look at the Rangers defense behind Chichi Gonzalez tonight. Fred Loya Insurance is showing you that Josh Hamilton is in left, Leonis Martin in center, and Shin-Soo Choo is in right. It's Moreland at first, Odor and Andrews up the middle, Beltre at third, Robinson Chirinos is catching for Chichi Gonzalez. Well, the Rangers and Angels, just a half game separating them in the American League West. The Rangers at 41-39. Mike Scioscia's Angels at 41-38. Angels 5 games back of the Houston Astros. The Rangers 5.5 games back. This will be the 7th meeting tonight between these two teams. The Angels have taken 4 of the first 6 and 2 of the first 3 in each ballpark. Oh, Johnny Giovatella stepping in. Last we saw the Angels, Giovatella was batting down much lower in the order, like about the opposite, the polar opposite. He was 9th, but now hitting in that leadoff spot. 267 average with 3 home runs and 27 driven in. He has been on a pretty good tear of late. He lines one to left. Hamilton sliding to his left, makes the grab. And that is out number 1.
One of those balls, Buzz, if the sun was bright, that would have been an impossible play for Josh. That ball would have been right in the middle of the sun. Fortunately, the sun is not. It looks like it's behind a cloud a little bit. Turned out to be an easy play for him.
Take every advantage you can get. Leave that cloud right there until the Angels go out in defense. Then they can go away. So Josh Hamilton gets that first out under his belt. Here's Cole Calhoun. He takes the pitch high for ball 1. Calhoun hitting at 258 with 7 home runs and 36 RBI. And we talked in the pregame part of the show tonight about the Angels and what they have going. There's a chopper foul with Pujols and Trout. Trout hits third, Pujols hits fourth. And around them, there has not been a whole lot of consistency for the Angels this year. Trout and Pujols 1 and 2 in home runs and every other category.
I think, Buzz, they're going through the same thing the Rangers have gone through at times, trying to find someone to bat first and second to get on base for those guys.
And a chopper on 2 big hops. Mitch Moreland picks it up. 2 gone. Well, that is one of the keys to pitching to this Angel club, is keeping the guys in front of Mike Trout off base. And obviously try to keep Trout off base in front of Pujols. But Trout and Pujols are going to get theirs. You just want to minimize whatever damage they cause when they do get their base hits and their home runs.
It'll be interesting to see how Chichi attacks Mike Trout. He's the kind of guy that likes to sink the ball. Trout's a good low ball hitter. So will he attack Trout with his strength, or will he try to go maybe a little higher in the zone?
Well, answers coming up in the first pitch.
Low sinker for a strike.
Sinker for a strike. Mike Trout in 70 games in his career against the Rangers, a .325 hitter. Went with a breaking ball, and the count evens now at a ball and a strike. Trout 21 home runs this year. That is second in the league to Albert Pujols. 44 RBI. And he hits a rope to left field. That's in for a base hit. Now there's that low pitch you were talking about, Tom. You get it down and out over the plate a little bit, and he's going to have a good pass at it.
Yeah, you better keep it away out of the strike zone or in out of the strike zone, because if it's down there, he's going to kill it.
And fortunately, he didn't get that elevated.
I would have gone 480 feet if he did.
No, a 2-out single. And here's Albert Pujols, the league leader with 24 home runs. Hitting just .263, but the power numbers, amazing for this guy. 24 home runs, 49 RBI. Ball 1. 544 career home runs. Now that's 16th all time. Mike Schmidt next on the target list at 548. Trout with good speed at first. Gonzalez checks him. And the pitch inside and low. It's 2 balls, no strikes to Pujols. Well, Albert, the first couple of years that he was in Anaheim, just by his own admission, struggled with the long-term contract, but also the injuries. He said he didn't handle the injuries very well. He was frustrated because he couldn't live up to his part of the contract. And he said that bothered him quite a bit. Now that he's healthy, he's trying to make amends as best he can. And I would say he's doing a pretty good job.
Looks like he's succeeding.
That pitch fouled back, and well, there's the first Chirinos sighting of the foul tip.
Didn't take long. Hey, look at the numbers that both of those guys have put up. First and second in home runs. Top 3 in slugging percentage. Trout's on base percentage is 4th. Pujols was the best offensive player in the American League in the month of June. Yet still, the Angels lag behind in average, and more importantly, they're 12th in runs scored. So in spite of 2 of the best hitters in baseball, it shows you that it's not like getting the best center in basketball and putting a team around them and you're still going to be good. You can have the 2 of the best players in baseball offensively, and you don't put a team around them, you're still going to have trouble scoring.
Exactly.
Rangers saw that with Alex Rodriguez when he was here. Best player in baseball, and they still finished last.
High chopper down the third baseline will go off into foul territory, and Adrian, going to make a friend in the 4th row up there. Oh, 2-2 the count as Pujols coming back to home plate.
You know, Buzz, looking down at the field, first game of this homestand, I don't think I've ever seen the field look better than this.
Looks great, doesn't it?
That's the best I can ever remember the field looking.
Boy, that deep green.
Perfect.
Yep. Dennis Klein and the grounds crew, boy, they had a week to work on this thing, and they manicured it.
They did.
Just beautifully.
And it's so hard in Texas. You know, you have a certain kind of grass in April that transitions to a different kind of grass when it gets hot. Sometimes that transition is hindered by rain or bad weather. Whatever the weather has been this year, it has not affected the field at all. The field's been perfect right now. I don't think if you haven't been to a lot of big league games and you sit down in your seat and look out there, I can't imagine the first thing you don't think of is, wow, how beautiful that looks.
Now Gonzalez set the 2-2 pitch. And Beltre has this one. Across the diamond goes the throw, and that'll do it. No, Trout gets a single, but the Angels strand him. Half an inning in the books. It's the Angels nothing. The Rangers coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. The score on the top of the first. Now Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers lineup.
Rougned Odor will be the leadoff man again tonight. Mitch Moreland will bat second again at first base. Prince Fielder is the DH. Adrian Beltre is at third base. Josh Hamilton will hit fifth. He's playing left field. Shin-Soo Choo is in right field, batting sixth. Elvis Andrus is the shortstop, batting seventh. Leonis Martin is in center field. And the catcher, Robinson Chirinos, will hit ninth.
And that lineup going to face the hard-throwing right-hander from Edmond, Oklahoma. Garrett Richards, 8-5 on the season. He can be overpowering. The Rangers very well aware of that. He has been overpowering in the strike zone to the Rangers. Rangers have had the most luck against him when they have found out that he's going to throw strikes and they can be aggressive early in the count, because he's got a couple of put-away pitches along with a 96, 97 mile-an-hour fastball. That's a great hook that you get down on the count to him, and your goose is cooked. So Rangers go at him now. Rougned Odor leading things off. Odor at 234, and he takes strike one.
Yeah, as you look around the league, you can come up with a lot of pitchers you wouldn't want to face. I got to think Garrett Richards is right near the top for hitters. It's one thing to try to catch up with a 94 to 96 mile-an-hour fastball. It's another thing when it's got the cutting action that his fastball has.
Yep.
I got to imagine the hitters look at this as an extreme challenge trying to hit him.
Well, 0-2 to Odor.
There's the hook you're talking about.
Yep. And that thing has teeth on it. Now Garrett Richards, a 27-year-old, just turned 27 last month, and grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma, went to the University of Oklahoma. Back to the plate he comes, and there is strikeout number one, is 96 mile an hour in on the fist of Rougned Odor. Let's take a look at the Angel defense behind Garrett Richards tonight. Outfield has Matt Joyce in left field, Mike Trout in center, Cole Calhoun is in right. Pujols at first, Giovacella and Ibar up the middle, David Freese at third. Carlos Perez, the young catcher, back behind the plate tonight, and Garrett Richards on the mound with a strikeout. on his resume as he got Odor to start things. Now Mitch Moreland. Moreland, a .297 average. Mitch might have put together one of the best groupings of home runs I've seen in a while. Back-to-back 2 home run games against the Orioles, and he just made mincemeat out of the Birds in Baltimore. 1 ball and 1 strike. .324 average his last 8 ball games. But he did an awful lot of damage. He's the team leader with 14 home runs. Second on the club with 43 runs driven in. Here's a line drive to left center, a base hit.
That was a fastball that looked relatively straight. Didn't have the normal movement that a Richards fastball has. And Mitch is trying to serve the ball back to the middle. Served it right over shortstop for a base hit.
Yeah, up, out over the plate, up above belt high. Right at the normal shortstop spot.
I think if he was playing back, he would have been able to catch it.
No, 1 on, 1 out. And Prince Fielder. Fielder had another multi-hit game last night, his 34th of the year. That's the most in baseball.
I really don't know why he wouldn't have been playing back.
Oh, they had the shift on. That was the third baseman. Freeze was over there.
But why wouldn't he be back farther?
He was guarding against the bunt that Moreland laid down one year.
Well,
they had, and it might have been against these guys that Moreland did that in spring training. And apparently that stuck in somebody's mind.
Then that's a perfect example. While showing bunt every now and then can get you some help along the way. If that's in fact why he was playing in, it got him a base hit. Generally against a guy that's, not an above average runner, you wouldn't feel like you needed to play in there.
And a strike to Prince. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Our Phantom Cam slowing things down for you a lot.
A little bit near the trademark, but still able to find a hole with that line drive.
1-2 to Prince. Fielder hit it at .345. Takes that breaking ball in the dirt. Perez with a nice stop. And the count evens at 2-2.
The Angels had a great year last year. They won a lot of games. Richards got hurt right at the end of the year. Tore a patella tendon, his left patella tendon, on August 20th. Missed the rest of the season. He was 13-4 at the time. They still won a lot of games, but they missed him.
Pulled to the right side. Diving stop by Giovatello. Nice play by the second baseman to get Fielder at first. Moreland into second and in scoring position for Adrian Beltre.
It wasn't a hard hit ball, but he had a long way to go to block it. And he had to take a bunch of quick steps and a dive, and he was able to do that. First baseman holding the runner on creates a little bit of a hole there. Giovatello playing at double play depth. Had to go over and back a little bit to catch that ball. Smothered it and then made the play.
No, 2 outs now. Moreland in scoring position for Adrian. Beltre hitting at .251.
This is not the kind of guy I'd pick to face if I had a bad thumb either.
No kidding.
He's one of those guys with the movement that he has. It's hard to make the ball hit the good part of the bat. You're going to hit it off the end. You're going to hit it off the handle when you're able to make contact against him.
Saw Adrian's numbers, a .286 average against Richards in the past. Chopper up the middle. Ibar back behind the bag. Throws out Beltre. That'll do it. Rangers get a base hit. Mitch Moreland, though, left stranded. After 1 in Arlington. No score. Use hashtag Southwest Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself on an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by the good folks at T-Mobile. A scoreless ball game. Angels come to bat here in the top of the second inning. Eric Ibar to lead things off against Chichi Gonzalez. Seen Ibar hit in a lot of spots, a lot of different spots in the Angels order. I'm not sure we've seen him hit fifth before. He's not really your prototypical fifth hitter. But again, Tom, like you were saying, that goes to show you how much experimenting Mike Scioscia's tried to do to get somebody in front of and behind Pujols and Trout to get some people on base.
Yeah, and I guess for a comparison, all you have to do is look at the Ranger lineups the last month and a half, and Elvis has hit fifth, he's hit sixth, he's hit seventh. Not exactly the spot of the lineup where you would expect to hit him either. So some similarities to the experimenting in the lineups between the Angels and the Rangers.
2 balls and a strike now as Ibar takes that last pitch. Jeff Bannister going with the same lineup that worked well last night in Baltimore, having Moreland hit second. Looper into right center field. That's going to be down for a base hit. Ibar opens up the second with a soft single to center. Well, 1 on, nobody out. David Freese coming up, and we're going to welcome in Jim Knox. Jim.
Oh, I appreciate it, Buzz. Hey, big happenings coming up here at Globe Life Park. The Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation has teamed up with Matthew McConaughey and the Just Keep Living program to find out more about that. Matthew will be here in person September 28th to talk all about the program. To get your tickets, log on to texasrangers.com/foundation. Buzz?
All right, Knoxy, thank you. David Freese, the hitter, takes inside from Gonzalez. 1 ball, no strikes. Freese, a .234 average, but 10 home runs, 34 driven in. 10 home runs, already matching last year's total for the Angel third baseman. Ibar with good speed at first, has a pretty good lead. And Chichi misses down and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Ten home runs. We mentioned matching last year's total, but it's also the second highest total that he's had before the All-Star break in his career. He had 13 back in 2012. There's a strike on the inner part, and it's 2-1. Ranger fans will remember David Freese from the 2011, or maybe you'd prefer not to remember him, but he's with the Cardinals in 2011, that ill-fated World Series Game 6 and Game 7. Freese checking with third base coach Gary DiSarcina. Let's see what Mike Scioscia might have in mind here. 2 balls and a strike. Ibar a pretty good lead at first with nobody out. Inside, almost clipped him, and it's 3-1. So Freese trying to get aboard to join Ibar. Matt Joyce, the left-handed hitting left fielder, waits to be next. Stolen bases. Angels have the third fewest in the American League, and third fewest by only 1 stolen base. And that pitch is in and over. It's now a full count.
Good pitch. Almost wish that Freese swung at that pitch. Sinker in. Might have been a nice little ground ball to shortstop.
That number 5 right there, blowing into him. Chirinos flashing the signs out. Gonzalez picks 1 out. Ibar on the move, and the pitch is fouled away. He'll have to come back, reset, and try it again. Nice crowd filing into Globe Life Park tonight. Expecting large crowds over this 4th of July weekend. Hope all of you are enjoying the first day of the 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend for some of you. And if you have plans to come out to the ballpark, come on out and enjoy yourself. Angels in tonight, tomorrow night, and Sunday evening. Ibar again moving, and again the pitch fouled off to the right. T.J. Gonzalez now will get ready to throw his 8th pitch of this at bat to David Freese. Chichi making his 7th major league start here tonight. As we mentioned, this is the first time that he has faced the Los Angeles Angels, and you know, when he had not faced a team before, he has usually had pretty good success. Another 3-2 coming. Instead, he drives Ibar back. Most notably, the first time out against the Kansas City Royals, Chichi had a complete game 3-hit shutout. That was his 2nd big league start. The right-hander's ready. Ibar on the move. The pitch is lined to left field, a base hit. Ibar not stopping at second. He is coming to third. Here comes the throw, not in time. And Beltre couldn't find the handle to make a throw to second, and Freese continued on into second.
Yeah, if Adrian could have found a handle and thrown that to second right off the bat, they would have had Freese at second base. Aggressive try by Freese, but he's safe because Adrian wasn't able to get a handle on the ball and throw it. Freese gets out in front of that ball and yanks it to left field. Josh makes a strong attempt at third, but Ibar with a head start beats it, and then you see Adrian bobbled that ball and Freese was able to get to second.
So back-to-back singles now. Runners at second and third. The Rangers with nobody out will play the infield back. And here's that instance we were talking about with Chichi Gonzalez, where you need to minimize the damage in this inning. He's got Matt Joyce up there, and he misses outside for ball 1. The last couple of times out, he's run into problems in just 1 inning and hasn't really been able to put a cap on it before multiple runs scored. The last 2 times out being against Toronto and against Oakland. Ready for the 1-0 pitch. Throw down to third.
Good throw, might have had him.
Yep. I think you're right.
Ibar wandering off third, and that throw was toward shortstop. That throw was right on the bag. He had a pretty good shot at him. It's a big step toward home. There comes the throw. Adrian's got the ball way before he got back to the bag. Just couldn't make a tag where the throw was. That would have been a nice out.
Ibar kind of dug his chin in when he was diving back in a 3-point landing.
I think Ibar was sweating that one. I think he thought he had a chance of being out, and he did if it was a good throw.
And Joyce cutting through that breaking ball, and now Chichi Gonzalez with an advantage in the count and a ball and 2 strikes. Joyce hitting just 193, and he has been pretty good in these situations. 62% of the time he's gotten that runner in from third with less than 2 outs. Gonzalez ready and back to the plate.
Tried it again, and he laid off at that time.
Couldn't get him to offer twice. Good idea. Now Chichi looking for the strikeout or the pop-up in this situation. You got Ibar at third, Freese at second. Ranger infield back. Well, they will give up the run for the out on a ground ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we'll try it one more time. Angels originally, you'll remember, with Josh Hamilton penciled in as their left fielder, really had no backup plan. And when Josh and the Angels parted ways, Angels just have been scuffling to try and find somebody to play out there on a daily basis. They had originally envisioned, of course, Calhoun and Trout and Hamilton in the outfield pretty much every day. And without Josh, put a big hole in that thought process. 3-2 now to Joyce.
Yeah, one guy that's getting a little bit of playing time out in the outfield is Daniel Robertson, former Ranger.
Yeah,
called up to help play the outfield for the Angels.
Yeah, he and Matt Joyce. There's Daniel. He and Matt Joyce kind of platooning out there. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up from Chichi Gonzalez. Low and inside, ball 4. That will load them up for C.J. Cron. Now Gonzalez got Joyce to swing at that pitch down and in 2 times in a row. One a fastball, one a breaking ball. And after that, Joyce would not even have a second thought about trying to swing at it. Mike Maddox out there to talk to Chichi.
In the last 40 games, Joyce has walked 20 times. Got off to a horrendous start. It's been better lately. But he's always had a decent discerning eye at the plate. Knows he swung at a pitch out of the strike zone and made sure he didn't do it again. Well, Chichi's had a couple of hitters now, Freese and Joyce, with 2 strikes. And they've worked the count, seen a lot of pitches, fouled a lot of pitches off, and one ended up with a single, one ended up with a walk.
Yeah, they made Gonzalez now throw 20 pitches in this inning, and he still doesn't have an out. He's got the bases loaded. C.J. Cron, the designated hitter, who has been up and down with the Angels this year. Up now, hitting at 198 for the season. He has fared very well against Ranger pitching in the past. And he takes outside for ball 1.
Cron is a guy that, you talk about guys that don't walk. He almost never walks. He's walked 2 times all year. He's been up 116 times. So he will expand the zone. We're going to tap one right back to the mound.
Yeah, he smashed it through the hole for a base hit. Everybody's going to advance 90 feet. Ibar in to score. Cron with the RBI base hit. The Angels take a 1-0 lead. So 3 singles and a walk. A run across, still nobody out. Rangers still with the bases full against them. And Carlos Perez, the catcher, coming up.
It's a pretty good pitch. It's a good sinker. It's down. You're trying to get a double play. That ground ball hit solidly and found a hole. Cron took the first pitch, but if the second pitch was anywhere near the strike zone, he was going to swing at it.
First pitch to Perez on the outside corner for strike 1. Looked like the cut fastball from Chichi. Perez came over from the Houston Astros, a deal that sent Hank Conger down to Houston. Foul back, and Gonzalez now with the advantage in the count, 0-2. Perez, very highly thought of young catcher, is 24 years of age. So he's having a little trouble lately at the plate. Going for his last 9. Gonzalez ready, a check in the runners. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Perez came over from Houston along with Nick Tropiano, young right-handed pitcher, in exchange for Conger. There's a strikeout. Good tailing fastball. What a down and in. Carlos Perez gone. First out here in the 2nd inning.
Probably the best pitch he's made so far in the ball game. 2 strikes. Good movement on that pitch. Really going in toward the hitter and down. Swung right over the top of it. Made a pitch when he had to. Now get a ground ball, turn a double play.
Yep.
He will have minimized the damage.
Johnny Giavotella for his 2nd at bat of the night. He lined to left field to start things here this evening, and he pops this one up. Infield fly rule will be in effect as Rougned Odor handles that a couple of steps into the outfield, and that is a very big out, number 2.
Well, this will be a superb job of wiggling out of a jam if he can get Calhoun right here, and you definitely want to get Calhoun before Trout comes up.
Now, 2 away, Calhoun, a ground ball to Mitch Moreland back in the 1st inning. Cole Calhoun with 8 hits in his last, or I should say he's hit in 8 of his last 10 ball games. J.J. Gonzalez setting and throws the off-speed pitch in for strike 1. Angels lead 1-0. Gonzalez trying to keep it right there. Base is full of Angels. Freeze at third, Joyce at second, Crone at first. Nothing in 2. Calhoun, his last 3 ball games, 6 strikeouts in 12 at bats, and Chichi trying to add 1 more to that total. The right-hander's ready for the 0-2. New baseball, that one tossed out by home plate umpire Tim Timmons. 30 pitches in this inning for Chichi Gonzalez. Trying to wiggle off the hook with just 1 run allowed. In the dirt, gets away briefly by Robinson Chirinos, but not far enough for Freeze to try and come home. It does even the count now to Calhoun, and this is the big pitch. You don't want to go to 3-2 with the bases full. Good job by Robinson blocking that ball in the dirt. Chirinos flashing some signs out. The 2-2 pitch. Full count. Now the disadvantage of that is Freeze, Joyce, and Crone will all get a head start. And you don't want to face that man. Mike Trout waiting in that on-deck circle.
You have to be well aware facing Calhoun of who's up next. You want to pitch him carefully, but you don't want to pitch him so carefully you risk walking him.
Calhoun back in. 3 for 6 with the bases loaded this year. Now time called. And Robinson Chirinos wanted to just slow that down a bit and go through the thought process one more time. Chichi looking in. Now picks out the one he wants. Runners on the move. The payoff pitch on the way. And we're going to have to go back to the starting point and try that again. Boy, 33 pitches in this inning.
He's had 2 strikes on a number of hitters, but just has lacked the ability to put them away. Had Joyce, had Freeze, had Calhoun 0-2. And they've been able to hang in there by fouling off pitches.
Gonzalez ready one more time. Right center field and hit deep. Up the alley, and it is off the wall. All 3 runners coming around to score. The Angels on a bases clearing double from Cole Calhoun take a 4-0 lead. Oh, so close to getting out of it. Anthony Bass getting loose now and loosening in earnest out in the bullpen.
They made a lot of good pitches. You can see 2, 3, 4 down low out of the strike zone. And one pitch, the 3-2 pitch that he fouled off, was a really good pitch. But that pitch was up out over the plate, and Calhoun was able to connect with it.
No, a 4-run inning for the Angels. Here's Mike Trout. Takes ball 1. Trout had a solid base hit to left field his first time. But his batting average now at .306. Gonzalez ready. The 35th pitch of the inning is on the way. 2-0. Well, in this inning, it started off with back-to-back singles by Ibar and Freese. Then the walk to Matt Joyce. And I think you look back on that and say, well, that was not a good walk in that particular situation. You know, try and get him to swing the bat. RBI single by Cron, and Carlos Perez struck out for the second out, or for the first out. Second out, Johnny Giavatello on the very next pitch popped up. Had a chance to get out of it with minimum damage. And 3-1 now to Mike Trout. You kind of feel, Tom, I don't know if you feel it too, but the same kind of feeling you had the last couple of games that Chichi ran into a problem, and then it took him a while to get over that to where he could make another pitch.
Yeah, it just looks like he's trying to make that pitch. He's used all his pitches, but he just hasn't had that one pitch to put the hitter away to get the out that he really needs.
And Trout checking his swing, takes ball 4. That puts 2 aboard, and that is going to be the end of Chichi Gonzalez night. So a 39 pitch inning, and not able to get out of the second. That's going to do it. Jeff Bannister out to take the ball from the young man. He wants Anthony Bass to come on into the ball game. Bass won here at 2 on with 2 out. Albert Pujols will be at the plate, and we'll take a timeout for this pitching change. We're back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Second inning, they have driven Chichi Gonzalez from the game, and Anthony Bass has been summoned to come into one of the less enviable spots that you have as a bullpen member, that being a long man, and your ball club has gotten down early. Anthony has to come in and put the brakes on this Angel uprising in the second inning, keep it at a 4-run game, and he will face Albert Pujols, who is 0 for 1. Last time we saw Anthony Bass was the Rangers are playing Oakland on the last homestand. That second game, came in and worked 4 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball, and just exactly what the Rangers needed at that time, and they need him to do a similar job here. He throws strike 1 to Pujols. Saw the numbers for Anthony, the league hitting .256 against him. Pujols a ground ball to third, back in the first inning. He's got Calhoun at second and Trout at first. Time had been called. Tim Timmons, most of the time an umpire who's going to call time will jump out from behind home plate to let everybody know, and Tim Timmons didn't, but at the last second put both hands up. Now Bass ready. A ball and a strike. Now the American League Player of the Month for June. That's Albert Pujols. Hit 13 home runs in the month. Hit 303. How about a 737 slugging percentage? Led the American League in home run, RBI, slugging percentage. Most times scaring a pitcher. They're going to make that an official category next month.
Well, when he's hot like he's been in the month of June, I'd be a little bit intimidated if I were pitching to him. I definitely want to throw a pitch that he couldn't line back through the middle.
Exactly. Yeah, you throw him changeups inside and tell
Pull
your
it
third
hard to the
baseman to
left
look
side.
out.
Let Adrian worry about it. Just don't hit it back at me.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Anthony Bass taking a page out of that book. He's keeping that right in on Pujols' fists. Well, and over the years, that's been the book on Pujols, if you can get it in there and keep it in there. When he was a little bit younger with St. Louis, the margin for error was so small that most guys couldn't effectively pitch in there. He was very quick inside. Not quite as quick now, but still an awesome sight in the batter's box. 2 balls, 2 strikes. '27-year-old Anthony Bass leaning in for the signs. The right-hander is ready. And he just missed low. 3-2.
Yeah, there are days where that ball's called. Have been days. Saw him when John Hirschbeck was behind the plate, that's for sure.
So with a full count now and 2 outs, both runners, Calhoun and Trout, will be moving on the next pitch. Ball 4, that loads him up.
This inning's not going real well.
No, the Angels have batted around now, and Eric Ibar, who started this mess with a base hit to center, will step in. Ibar, single to begin the inning, came around to score on C.J. Cron's base hit. Bass to the plate. Fires strike 1. Last 10 ball games, 12 ball games, Eric Ibar has hit .359.
Boy, in that one game in Baltimore, it took about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We would have played about 2 innings, and the time it's taken to play this half an inning.
Yeah, this has been a little difficult.
A lot of pitches.
We're up to is it 48 now? This will be the 10th pitch for Bass. And he gets that over.
We're talking about the inability for the Angels to put together much offensively around Trout and Pujols. But that hasn't been the case today. Pujols made the last out of the first inning. And then Ibar, Freese, Joyce, Cron, they were the ones that ignited the second inning.
1-2 pitch. Up the middle into center field, a base hit. 1 run is home. Coming in to score is Mike Trout. A 2-run single by Ibar, and the Angels have a 6-0 lead. Ibar with his second hit of the inning drives in runs number 24 and 25 for the year. And those 2 runs go on the ledger of Chichi Gonzalez. So that closes the book on Chichi here tonight. inning and 2/3 for the right-hander. 5 hits, 6 runs. They were all earned with 2 walks and a strikeout. David Freese up for the second time. Freese had a base hit to left field. First time up in the inning. Angels in this frame have had 6 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks. A ball and a strike. And that pitch is low. Oh, right at the bottom of the zone. 1-2. The Angels in this inning, 5 at bats with the bases full. And they have had 3 hits in those 5 at bats. The 1-2 pitch coming. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the Angels were off yesterday. Rangers, of course, having that 2-0 win as they scored 2 in the top of the 9th inning last night in Baltimore. Second shutout that they had on that road trip. Ground ball by Elvis into left field. Pujols had the stop sign put up. He was able to stop Ibar and thought he was going to continue and had to scamper back ahead of a throw. And again, the bases are loaded for the Angels. Both Ibar and Freese now with 2 hits in this inning. And Mike Maddox back out to the mound.
Well, the Angels have swung the bats great this inning. The Rangers have struggled to throw enough strikes, and the other side of it is they're finding holes with those ground balls too. They're just desperate for a ball to be hit at somebody and just get out of this inning, make it end.
The Angels with 6 hits in the inning, 5 of them have been singles. Ranger pitchers have been forced to throw 55 pitches in this frame. Wow. So, bases full once again. Seems like everybody that's come to the bat has had the bases full. Matt Joyce drew a walk and scored earlier this inning.
So this is 6 runs scored here in the second inning. What could it possibly have felt like to the Orioles the day the Rangers scored 30 runs?
Oh, goodness.
When most of them came after the 5th inning.
Yeah.
I mean, every inning after the 5th inning was like that. This feels like it's never going to end. What could that possibly have felt like to them?
Weren't the Rangers ahead 3-0 in that game?
I think it was like 5-2.
Was it?
At some point in time, like in the 4th or 5th inning. I mean, it was a relatively competitive game, at least halfway through the game. I'm not sure what the score was, but Rangers had huge innings, almost every inning after that.
I was thinking the Rangers scored the last 28 or 30 unanswered runs.
Might have been something like that.
Yeah, that would not be good to be on the receiving end of that.
So pretty much multiply this inning by 4. Yeah. They had to endure this 4 times. Of course, it happened quicker, I think, though. There were grand slams, and the runs might have scored a little quicker than this. Might not have taken as many pitches to score those runs.
Anthony Bass trying to figure out how in the world to put a capper on this. Yeah, bases full, 1 ball, 2 strike count. Matt Joyce waiting. This will be the 60th pitch of this inning. 2-2.
Yeah, Anthony's thrown 21 pitches. He's only faced 4 hitters now.
Got him swinging. The inning mercifully comes to a conclusion, but Angels score 6 time and leave 3. We'll go to the bottom of the second, 6-0 Los Angeles. On Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. Now it's chip away time for the Rangers. Coming up in the bottom of the second, they are trailing 6-0 as the Los Angeles Angels broke out for a 6th spot in the top half of the inning. Josh Hamilton to start things off. Shin-Soo Choo and Elvis Andrus to follow.
It's been a long time on the bench for Garrett Richards, that's for sure. 34 minutes that inning, half inning took.
Well, it didn't seem that long.
It didn't.
Josh hitting at an even 300 as he takes inside for ball 1. Hamilton a couple of home runs, 5 driven in. This is his 10th ball game with the Rangers at big league level. He's reached base and safely in the 8 of the first 9. A ball and a strike. Richards back to the plate. 1-2. Richards working to his former teammate Josh Hamilton. Josh, a couple of years out in LA, hit a combined .260 for the Halos. Got him swinging. Richards the off-speed pitch, and Hamilton thrown out at first after the strikeout. 1 gone. Next will be Shin-Soo Choo.
Throws that curveball down a little bit out of the strike zone.
Richards now with a couple of strikeouts. Shin-Soo Choo steps in, hitting at .231. But you have that great run in Baltimore. 3 consecutive games with a home run. Just the second time in his career he'd be able to put the trifecta together. 4 for 17 in his career against Richards. Little looping down on the left field line. It's in for a base hit. Choo digging for 2. And Matt Joyce will just pick it up and stick it in his pocket. That cut fastball got way inside on Choo, and Chu said, I'm not going to take that. Get out of here.
Well, Chu's also hit a few balls hard that have been caught. Hitters will always say they've hit more hard that are caught than cheap ones that have fallen in, but there's a little blooper that did fall in. Boy, that ball buried on in the handle of his bat. Well placed little blooper. A lot of spin on it, which makes it carry over to the seats there. Kept Joyce from being able to get to it before Shin-Such could get to second.
Now the second Ranger hit. Chu out there at second. Elvis Andrus, the hitter. And Elvis takes a strike at the knees. Andrus 9 for 30 against Richards. That's a 300 mark. 242 overall this year for Elvis. Been in a little downturn of late. He was hot there for a while, but just 1 for 15 in his last 4 games. 0-1 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Elvis went 6 for 26 on that just completed road trip. Trying to pick up Chu from second base. High bar. Dug out by Pujols for out number 2.
High chopper in the hole. Ibar felt like he had to get rid of it quickly. He's got a quick release anyway, and a strong arm. But he had to have a little help from Pujols to dig that one out of the dirt.
Folks, a reminder for you that on Sunday, July 12th, the first 15,000 fans will get a Michael Young bobblehead, courtesy of Globe Life. It'll be your last chance to see the Rangers before the All-Star break, so don't wait to get your tickets. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS today. 2 outs, Leonis Martin steps to the plate. Leonis, one of the heroes of last night's ball game. And that run-scoring single that broke a scoreless ball game came in the 9th inning. Then he came around to score the insurance run that really made a big difference for Sean Tolleson in the bottom of the 9th inning. Leonis, a 4-game hitting streak going, but he's had just 1 hit in each of those 4 games. Richards ready for the 1-0 pitch. And that's a bit low. 2 balls, no strikes.
Leonis had a big hit in last night's game. He's been pulling the ball a little bit too much. It's resulted in a lot of ground balls to the right side. But in the Orioles series, he hit a couple of balls to left field, and he waited on the pitch last night that he lined up the middle for the game-winning hit. That's hopefully a good sign of things to come.
And 3 balls, no strikes. He also drew a walk last night, too.
Yeah, he actually prolonged that at bat by taking a pitch. A 3-1 pitch, I think it was. Rather than trying to jump on the first pitch he saw, he took it, had a patient at bat.
Now 3-0, Garrett Richards will come back to the plate and miss low. That's ball 4. So there are 2 aboard now with 2 out, and Robinson Chirinos coming up. Well, Richards trying to help the Rangers out. A free pass along with the looping double. Chirinos stepping in. Last few ball games, he has been hitting down in that number 9 slot. 27 RBI with 8 home runs. He's had a little bit of success against Garrett Richards, 2 for 9. He's got Chu at second. Leonis Martin at first. And the pitch is popped up behind home plate. Perez coming back, but that's 6 or 7 rows deep. Nothing in 1. Let's take a look at our Kubota power stats. Garrett Richards, last 2 seasons against the Rangers, he has been virtually untouchable. 5 starts, 5-0 with a 2.16 ERA. No home runs in 33 1/3 innings and averaging almost 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's bordering on domination. Oh, and 1 the count to Chirinos. That will even the count. Robinson just 3 out of 20. That encompassed the last road trip for him. He's still 4th on the club, on the Ranger club, with extra base hits. He has 20 of them. Two balls and a strike. Richards having a little trouble zeroing in on the strike zone as he gets down to the bottom of the order. Gave up a 1-out double to Shin-Soo Choo, then the 2-out walk to Leonis Martin. Choo at second, trailed by Martin. High fly ball to left field. Joyce back toward the corner, but has room. Makes the catch, and that'll do it. Rangers get a hit and a walk, but strand a couple. We finish 2 here at Globe Life Park. It's the Angels 6, the Rangers nothing.
Welcome back to Globe Life Park. Tomorrow, 4th of July, big happenings here at Globe Life Park. The Texas Rangers will be wearing these special red, white, and blue jerseys. Go ahead and turn around, big guy. Look at this. This is Mitch Moreland's game jersey for tomorrow. The good news is these jerseys will be donated off by MLB, and the donations that are raised will be going to the Welcome Back Veteran Program. And good news for Ranger fans, you don't want to donate on that and bid on that. You got these nice jerseys. The Majestic Grand Slam gift shop, turn around, nice job there. Fielder's game jersey like that, replica right there, Majestic Grand Slam gift shop. And the hats, how about that? Not bad, huh, Buzz and Tom?
Good looking hat right there.
That's a lot of hit. Who are those kids, Jim?
Kids. These kids, oh, well, they're my kids, Austin and Dylan. Little thumbs up, huh, guys?
I thought they were handsome little guys.
I got to bring them to work to use them for props.
Can they say good day, mate?
Good day, mate. Good day, mate. Can you say that? Say good day, mate.
Good day, mate.
There you go. Close enough. We'll work on that.
All right.
C.J. Cron leading off the Angels' third inning. Topper over the mound. Odor near the bag, able to throw out Cron for out number 1. No, 1 out, base is empty. Carlos Perez coming up. Let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana. Angels leading here 6-0. Carlos Perez, a strikeout, his first time to the plate. Batting in the third with the bases empty and one away. Perez a .236 average. 2-0. Carlos Perez now 0 for his last 10 times to the plate. 24-year-old catcher takes a knee-high strike. Perez made his major league debut. Angels called him up for May 5th. That was against the Mariners in Seattle. He had a walk-off home run against Seattle. Pretty nice way to break into the big leagues. Three and one the count. Bass to the wind. And ball four. Well, Anthony issues his second walk. That takes the Angels back to the top of the order for Johnny Giavotella. Giavotella 0 for 2 this evening. He is lined to left and popped to second.
Yeah, that pop to second looked like it might be exactly what Chichi needed to get out of that inning, only giving up one run. Unfortunately, Calhoun had a long at bat. Instead of being the third out and ending the inning with one run, he had a big double to drive in 3.
Yeah, Giavotella going the other way with a base hit. Around second, heading to third is Perez, and the Angels have runners at the corners and one out for Cole Calhoun.
He just kind of fought that pitch off. He fisted it, but he had a big hole to shoot for with Mitch holding the runner on. Rolled it slowly through the right side, and Perez is able to go to third on the play. Well, you know, if you're a top of the order or any kind of a hitter, a right-hand hitter that can handle the bat and hit the ball the other way, great idea to do that with that big hole with the first baseman holding the runner. If you can hit ground balls that way, mighty inviting spot to do it in. You see the big hole between the second baseman and the first baseman. Not a lot of hitters, though, that I would say are adept at doing that on a regular basis. Not that easy. Looks like it would be.
Cole Calhoun, maybe the biggest hit of the game so far. He had that big bases clearing 2-out double, 3-run double that for a moment there looked like Chichi Gonzalez was going to get out of the inning with just one. And Calhoun rips it to right field. It's by Chu, one hop off the wall. One run is home. Coming around third, here comes Giavotella. The throw to the plate, he's out. On to third goes Calhoun. The Rangers able to cut down Giavotella at the plate.
Well, the good relay, 2 good relay throws. Chu got it off the wall, and Rougned, you can see how strong his arm is. Sometimes you underestimate the arm of a second baseman because you don't really see him use it all that often unless he's going to his right to make a play. Watch this beautiful throw. Nice throw from Chu. And then a one-hop strike. Kind of like the one J.J. Hardy made the other day. And they cut the runner down at the plate. Nice play.
No, for Calhoun, his second consecutive run-scoring double. He advances to third on the throw. And with 2 outs now, Mike Trout with his third at bat of the night. Trout has singled and walked. He has scored a run. Angels leading 7-0. Bass from the stretch. And gets a strike on the outer edge. Trout waiting as Bass comes back to the plate. 1-2. I mentioned Trout with 21 home runs. That's the second time in his career he's hit more than 20 before the All-Star break. Had 22 last year prior to the break. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You get an ongoing argument about the best player in the game, and certainly Mike Trout is in that conversation right at the top of the list.
Yeah, and then for the first time, Bryce Harper's played himself into that role too.
Yeah,
they were both highly touted young players when they first started playing. Trout jumped to the top of the pack though with some outstanding seasons. Harper had some injuries, but this year Harper seems to have climbed on board. He's having a huge year of his own.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And a high twisting foul down the right side. That will be back about 8 or 9 rows. Still 2-2. Our Fox tracker showing you those pitches away from Trout. Trout now 10 for 22 against the Rangers this year. He has been picking on them his whole career, but in this year in particular. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now Trout, as you well know, hitting third. Right behind him, the first baseman, Albert Pujols. Bass ready. The payoff pitch. Chopper smeared by Anthony Bass, and he gets Trout at first. Nice play by Bass. Going up the ladder, coming down with the board. That'll do it. The Angels put 1 more on the board on a couple of hits. They leave 1 after 2.5. 7-0 Los Angeles. You can see fireworks out here at Globe Life Park. Fans attending the interleague matchup, the San Diego Padres in town on Friday, July 10th, will be treated to a post-game fireworks show. Get discounted upper reserve tickets for July 10th using the online coupon code fireworks at texasrangers.com/specials. And the ice cream, always good out here at the ballpark.
Shake of head. Someone said, "Is that good?"
You better believe it. Well, top of the order for the Rangers to face Garrett Richards here in the 3rd inning. Ignat Odor, Mitch Moreland, and Prince Fielder.
So when you're eating an ice cream cone, do you eat all the ice cream off the top and then eat the cone, or do you push the ice cream down into the cone and eat it like all at the same time?
Yeah, I push it down and
nibble the
nibble the edge
cone
around
and get ice cream with it.
Yeah,
me too.
Kind of mix it up.
Yeah. Looked like he's doing it that same way too. Veteran move for that kid.
But you know, until you asked that, I had never really thought about it. No, I'm
so
pretty sure what I was
so
doing.
when you get your plate full of food, let's say you've got a piece of meat, some kind of starch, and a vegetable. Do you eat all the meat, all the starch, and all the vegetable?
No, I alternate.
Or do you alternate?
Yeah.
Do you mix it up? Can it touch?
No.
Can it mix?
You know, it can touch. Yeah. Now,
I've got one child that eats each little thing until it's gone.
Right.
Then the next thing. Another one that doesn't want it to touch.
Right.
Like the peas can't touch the corn.
Touching's important, I found out. Yeah, I have a daughter that's like that.
Funny how we're all different like that.
Then my son and I just doesn't, as long as it goes in our mouths, we don't really care what it looks like or what it touches.
And someone invariably says, well, it all ends up in the same place anyway, so what difference does it make if it's touching when you put it in your mouth?
Well, that's kind of a personal decision on it.
Yeah. I like that provocative talks that give people a chance to think about it at home. Especially the people that love to talk about food.
Ruben Odora, two-hopper out to his counterpart, and Giovatello throws him out. One gone, Mitch Moreland coming up. Well, really,
like
where
John,
else?
Like John Radigan and Emily. Yeah, that would be a conversation they would like to have.
It would be. And them being the connoisseurs that they are, too, they probably have some great input. They'll probably tell you what the proper etiquette is for whether to mix or don't mix.
I've seen the replay of John and Evan Grant having the crab dinner that they had.
Yeah, John was complaining that he couldn't get very large pieces of crab. Well, he beat the thing to death. He pounded it into a paste. No wonder he couldn't get big pieces. Those little hammers are not
to eat the crab meat, not the shell.
Yeah, well, and those little hammers they give you, they're not to tenderize the crab. I mean, it's already pretty tender. You know, all you want to do is crack the shell so you can get the chunks out. John looked like he was going after it was still alive.
Well, Evan's a veteran. Maybe he learned a little something.
1-1, the count to Mitch Moreland. Mitch a single to left field, his first time. And good cut at that fastball, fouling it straight back. 1-2. Mitch at an even 300 after that first inning single. He's the team leader with 14 home runs, second to Prince Fielder in runs driven in. 43 of them. And another foul. And Mitch doing that offensive damage in not nearly as many plate appearances. Moreland with 60 games under his belt, 220 plate appearances, whereas Prince and Elvis, those guys are right at 300 at bats. Laid off the breaking ball and it makes it 2-2. Mitch coming up in some of the league statistics about at-bats per RBI, at-bats per home run. He's fifth in at-bats per RBI with 5.16 at-bats per each RBI. He's going to ground out to the shortstop I-bar. That's out number 2, and it'll bring up Prince Fielder.
Designated hitter, Prince Fielder.
No, 2 outs, bases empty. Fielder out on a nice job first time by second baseman Giovatello. Now, home runs, Major League all-time leaders. Prince down there right at 300, hit his 300th in Toronto a week ago tonight. He and his dad Cecil now third most home runs for a father and son duo, and only the second father and son combination that had 300 each of them in their careers. Cecil at 319, and Prince, of course, sitting right at 300. 2 balls, no strikes to him. Home games, that 362 average, the second highest in the American League for Prince. They got tied up with that fastball, and it's 2-1. Our AT&T Uverse Rewind will take you back to Toronto. Mark Burley serving it up in the first inning last Friday. Number 300 for Prince Fielder, and he got a kick out of it. John Radigan asked him the next day about it, and he said, you know, I didn't really realize it was 300 until I came back and Adrian Beltre asked me. He said, congratulations. And Prince said, oh yeah, that's a pretty neat deal. He lines sharply to left field. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Garrett Richards. Rangers gone. We have finished 3 here in Arlington. 7-0 Angels. On Wednesday at Whataburger on Camp Wisdom Road in Duncanville. Don't miss the chance to win great prizes and to meet one of your favorite Rangers at Whataburger. Top of the 4th inning has arrived, and we've sent out for reinforcements. We've got the doctor of defense came in to join us, answered the call. Mark McLemore joining us as always. Good to see you, Mac. I wish it were under different circumstances, but you've got a lot of work to do in the next couple innings.
I do. I'm going to need some help.
One of those games that got out of hand and just couldn't put the brakes on it in that second inning.
Yeah, it's just tough. You know, it happens occasionally.
Sure.
And it just seems like anything that gets thrown up there gets hit, or it's not a strike. You sit out there and you wonder, how does that happen?
Yeah.
It's called baseball.
That's right.
That's the bottom line. It's baseball. It happens to every team at some point during the season. Hopefully not too many times, though.
Albert Pujols, and he's called out on strikes. Pujols didn't particularly care for that, but Tim Timmons said, no, you're gone. Second strikeout for Anthony Bass. Okay.
If this was a 1-1 ball game with a couple of men on, I don't think Albert would have walked away so quietly.
He might not have walked away at all. He demanded another pitch.
It would have been like Steve Pierce.
Yeah,
in Baltimore. He just stayed in the batter's box and said, I'm not leaving.
Ibar lifts a fly ball to deep right center field. Chu is back at the wall. It's off the wall. Notice Martin backing it up. And into second, Eric Ibar with his 3rd hit of the night. Couple of singles, now a double.
Ibar gave that one a pretty good ride. Almost rode it right into the Ranger bullpen.
Ball sure stayed up in the air a long time. So the 10th base hit for the Angels tonight. Ibar with 3 of them. He is at second. David Freese has a couple of hits. And he takes ball 1. Freese singled twice in the second inning. Scored 1 run in that frame. Hitting at 240 now. Anthony Bass getting set to unload his 50th pitch of the night. Elvis can't get to it. Ibar waved around third, will score without a throw. Freese with his 3rd hit of the night drives in his 35th run, and the Angels have an 8-0 lead.
Well, Ibar has 3 hits, and Freese also has 3 hits. Again, we were talking about the danger of facing Trout and Pujols, and the rest of the lineup had been pretty much struggling. Not the case today. Everybody after Albert Pujols, 2 guys after him are 6 for 6.
One of those nights too where anything close is getting through. I mean, it's just a little bit out of the reach of Ranger defenders. Matt Joyce has walked and struck out, and he takes strike 1. Joyce a 192 average. Walked and scored in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. A little tough at times in a game like this to keep your concentration level.
It really is. It's one of the most difficult things, and you may think that it's easy because you're on a major league field, but it is difficult when it's, you know, when the score is like this. It's early. You still have a long way to go. That concentration level just seems to slip away.
I think this tests the idea that you are a professional having to do this. It would be very easy just to check in and say, okay, that's it. You know, you guys are up 8-0. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll start afresh. Well, you can't do that. People have paid good money to come out here to the ballpark and see a major league performance, and you have to find some way to provide that for them.
Yeah, and you know, I was always, you know, under the thought process that, okay, well, they've got 8 runs in the last 3 innings. We can do the same thing.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the time, it has something to do with that guy that's on the mound.
Sure.
You know, but you know, hey, if they can score that many, we've done it before. Why can't tonight be another one of those nights?
Second strikeout of the inning, 3rd strikeout of the game for Anthony Bass. 2 away. C.J. Cron up there. Cron 1 for 2. Takes strike 1. Cron the RBI single in the second inning, and he came around to score. So Cron now with 8 runs driven in, hitting at .203 for the year. Freese away from first, and Bass misses low and outside. Ranger infield a couple of steps around to the left for the right-handed hitting Cron. Good breaking ball from Bass. 1-2. Good look at the emerald green field here at Globe Life Park. Got him swinging. Bass ends up striking out the side. The Angels had a run on and 2 hits and strand one. After 3.5, it's the Angels 8 and the Rangers nothing. Arizona Diamondbacks, and the first 15,000 fans 14 and older will take home a Hawaiian Rangers t-shirt. That's courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for July 7th. Jeff, one of our cameramen, understand he's Hawaiian, huh? Uh-huh. I'm going to take that under advisement. I got to look into that before I commit to it.
Wonder if he's got that shirt.
Probably. If he is a real Hawaiian, he may have designed it. So you don't say anything negative about it. Adrian Beltre starting things off for the Rangers here in the 4th inning. And Garrett Richards to the plate with strike 1. Beltre, a ground ball his first time up. Grounded out to shortstop. Rangers with just 2 hits this evening. Softly hit to Pujols. And with Richards covering, Beltre is retired. 1 gone. And Josh Hamilton coming up. Well, Garrett Richards now has retired the last 5 Rangers that he's faced. Josh went down swinging the first time that he faced Richards tonight. Josh downplayed the emotional side of facing the Angels for the first time. Let's see, left that club. I don't know. Even as good as Josh is about compartmentalizing things, I would think there's still got to be a little bit of a pang in there facing these guys for the first time.
There's no question. I mean,
it's human nature.
It is. It is.
We can say whatever we want, but if you're in that position where you're facing a former team, you want to perform as well as you can. You've got friends on the other team. You want to perform well in front of them. You might have other reasons, another agenda for wanting to play well. And maybe you try to downplay it so that you don't get over keyed up, try too hard, and defeat the whole purpose of the competition. But when you're out there performing and you perform well against a former team in your first game back, you feel good. You notice it.
There's no question about it. And, you know, it doesn't matter what terms you leave on, whether you left in good terms or bad terms, you still want to play well against that former team.
Sure. You think of some of the Angel players that came over to the Rangers. Vladdy Guerrero, Mike Napoli, and the hurting they put on the Angels that first year that they were back, each one of them. Nap launched home runs out of Angel Stadium, one right after the other. And Vladdy had his share too.
Hamilton down on strikes for the second time tonight, 2 away, and Shin-Soo Choo. Well, the first year that the duo of Vlad Guerrero and Mike Napoli were with the Rangers and they played against the Angels, well, Vlad only hit .297 with 5 home runs, 17 RBI, and hit .429 with runners in scoring position. Look at Napoli. 6 home runs, 9 RBI, and 1196 on base plus slugging.
Yeah, I would say both of those guys derived a great deal of pleasure out of that performance against the Angels.
Remember Napoli going into at that time Angel Stadium out there, and I think he had back-to-back 2 home run games against them late in the year, if I remember correctly.
You are correct. We talked about that yesterday, actually. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. It seemed like everything he hit left the ballpark. It didn't matter what kind of pitch it was. He just smoked it. And Choo down on strikes as Garrett Richards has a 9-pitch 4th inning. Rangers gone in order. He is now retired 7 straight. We're moving on to the 5th inning. It's the Angels leading by 8. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Folks out at Globe Life Park having a great time. The first evening of this 4th of July holiday weekend. Carlos Perez leading off the top of the 5th inning. He goes after that first pitch from Anthony Bass, and Choo drops the ball. Perez into second with what I'm sure will be a 2-base error on Shin-Soo Choo.
Second baseman Johnny Gio.
Yeah, that even happens in a big league game from time to time. See, Choo goes back, comes across, gets there. Just didn't hit in the middle of his glove. Got it all the way. Whoops. Look like he just closed his glove too soon. Ball was headed for the pocket of his glove. He closed the glove and no room in the pocket.
Well, it takes the Angels back to the top of the order for Johnny Giavotella, who's 1 for 3. Giavotella now with his 4th at bat in the first 5 innings. .268 average. Pokes one right back to Bass. Good job by Anthony to check the runner back to second. 1 away. Next will be Cole Calhoun. Calhoun's had a big night, and you would expect that against the Rangers. He has enjoyed over the years hitting against Texas pitching. He's driven in 4 runs tonight with a pair of doubles. .262 average for the Angel right fielder. And the pitch just low for ball 1. Calhoun, a bases loaded double in the 2nd inning, and that was the big hit of the ball game, or at least the big hit of that inning. Chichi Gonzalez at that point had the bases loaded and 2 outs. He had just gotten a very big out on a pop-up by Gio Botello. It looked like he was going to get out of that inning with just 1 run allowed. Instead, Calhoun cleared the bases, and it went on to a 6-run inning, and Chichi Gonzalez couldn't finish the frame. That is out number 2.
Calhoun's last at bat, he hits a rocket to right field. And the Rangers are one of the best teams at relays. Shu gets the ball back into Odor. Odor throws a perfect shot to Chirinos at the plate. One hopper, keeps the ball down, makes it playable for Chirinos. I love how the Rangers do their cutoffs and relays. They get the job done more times than not. Perfect throw on both ends.
Now, Mac, if you're the second baseman or the shortstop and you're going out, how do you take into account the strength of the arm of the outfielder? Do you go out deeper for a poor thrower and less for another one, or do you go the same way every time?
No, you've got it depends on the outfielder. If you've got an outfielder with a not so strong arm, yes, you've got to get out there so he can get the ball to you. You don't want that outfielder to throw the ball to you and it ends up rolling. You're not going to get anybody out. So you've got to get out there far enough, meaning you have to know the strength of your outfielder's arms, what their weaknesses are. Do they hit the cutoff man? Do they bounce it? You know, there's some guys you got to go out there and jump around so they pick you up and know exactly where you are. You still have to come to the ball when they throw it. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that go into it. You're running out there, especially if you're that lead guy. You're running out there looking and making sure that runner, you can get that runner at third or second.
Well, Trout lined sharply, but right at Elvis, and that'll do it. No runs, no hits, an error. 1 man left. We played half the ball game. Angels leading 8-0. Folks, the Yankees are coming to town. They're coming to Globe Life Park on Monday, the 27th of July. They'll be here through Thursday. That's the 30th. And the San Francisco Giants follow the 31st through August the 2nd. Great seats are still available for this 7-day homestand. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS and get your seats today. Nice-sized crowd on hand here tonight, probably in the mid-30s or so. hoping for a Ranger comeback. He needs to get something going against Garrett Richards. Richards has retired the last 7. He has struck out 4 through the first 4 innings. He will deal to the bottom third of the Ranger order. Elvis Andrus takes strike 1. Elvis, a ground ball to short, his first time up. Rangers with 2 hits in the first 2 innings. Off of Richards out to second. That's going to be a 1-4-3. And boy, Richards, look how he got hit on the left leg. His plant leg, he's waving to the Angel bench. I'm all right. If he is, he's very fortunate. That was a bullet.
That's one of the few balls the Rangers have hit hard. Looked like it was headed up the middle for a base hit, too.
Those are the kind of things that happen when things aren't going well for you.
That got him on that right leg as he followed through. That right leg came around. Got him right by his pocketbook. Well, Garrett Richards, a very fortunate young man out there. 1 away, here's Leonys Martin. Martin drew the only walk that Richards has given tonight. That was back in the second. Pulls this on the ground to Giovotella, and there are 2 outs. Now, before Robinson Chirino steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. The Rangers 2 quick outs here in the 5th inning. Oh, 1 the count to Chirinos. Robinson hit a towering fly ball to left field his first time up. 205 average for the Ranger catcher. A ball and a strike. Robinson getting more and more work behind the plate. Carlos Corporan, you'll remember on the last road trip, took a foul tip off the glove hand. That's going to do it. We'll tell you more about that next time Robinson comes up. A 1-2-3 inning on 7 pitches. 8-0 Angels. Matt, thanks for joining us. We'll see you after the ball game.
All right.
In the top of the 6th inning. And we'll take a look at our Coors Light cold hard fact of the evening. Albert Pujols. How about Albert? He has passed Ted Williams, Jimmy Fox, Willie McCovey, and Frank Thomas on the all-time home run list just this season. Cold hard fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And I have a feeling that Albert's probably not through. He's 4 behind Mike Schmidt. He's got a few months of the season left.
Yeah, Albert's having the kind of year that he used to have in the prime of his career. Last year he had a good solid season. Hit 272 at 28 home runs and knocked in 105. He already has 24 home runs now, so he's on his way to hitting 40. RBIs will be a function of whether anyone gets on base in front of him.
Hanser Alberto has entered the ball game, taking over at shortstop, so Elvis's night is finished. 1-1 the count, and Pujols taking it the other way for a base hit. Well, the way the team's overshifting, he can do that about any time he decides he wants to. 1 on, nobody out. Eric Ibar coming up. Let's check in with Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. This was the scene before the game. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling into Globe Life Park and on hand. Wow, 105.3. The G-Bag Nation on hand. And look who we have here. We got Chris Arnold. Got you down. We got Jeff. We got Lucius. We're missing Gavin. Who else are we missing? Oh, there they are. Mike, and got just in time. All right. Other than the score, I know you guys are having a pretty good time, right, Chris?
Yes, we are. All I got to say for all the G-Bag Nation, represent. Ooh,
I like that. All right, well, what about it, guys? Mike, you're a former player. What do you think so far?
I think all we need is the touchdown and to go for 2, and we're right back in this thing.
Shoot, yeah. I like the spirit. All right, good enough. Where's the rest of the G-Bag Nation? Back over there? Chris, get them to stand up. All right, there we go. About 45 on hand tonight, Buzz. All having a good time. Hey, maybe a comeback, huh?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Anybody want to say good day, mate, Jeff?
Good day, mate. That's all I've ever wanted in life is to say good day, mate, to Noxie.
All right, there we go. That's not bad either. There we go. All right. I love you too, Lucy. I love you guys. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of the game. We're looking for a comeback here.
Man.
All right. There we go. There's your seats. Right?
Noxie can get him going, Kenny.
I'm glad Noxie got together with those guys.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot of mutual love there.
Eric Ibar at the plate, and he's ahead of the count now. 3 balls and a strike. Ibar 3 for 3 tonight. A pair of singles, a double. He has driven in 2. Angels with a dozen hits to go along with their 8 runs. Anthony gives up another base hit. That finds a hole on the right side. Pujols to second will stop there. And it's a 4-hit night for Eric Ibar.
You know, Buzz, this kind of reminds me of the first game of the road trip we were on. The Rangers had just been swept at home in a 3-game series by the A's. They went to Toronto, and it seemed like everything Toronto hit in that first ball game in Toronto fell in. They hit a lot of balls hard. They found a lot of holes, and they ended up beating the Rangers in that first game 12-2. And it felt a lot like this. And then in the second game of that series, the Rangers came back the very next day and shut them out 4-0.
Yep.
So they went for 12 runs one day and didn't score the next day. Put in a little perspective, what happens one day really has no bearing on the next day. It's pretty much a function of both pitchers and who's throwing the ball well and whether the ball is finding holes or falling in. Today the Rangers, not that it would make a lot of difference, but they've hit several line drives that just in the last inning, one went off the pitcher to the second baseman. The other one looked like it was headed to the outfield. Second baseman made a nice play. And this inning starts, and 2 well-hit ground balls exactly between first and second find holes for a base hit. So just the way it goes sometimes.
Now here's David Freese, who, like his predecessor Eric Ibar, has a 3-hit night. He is 3 for 3, all 3 singles, driven in a run and scored a run. Mike Maddox out to slow things down. You saw Neftali Feliz getting loose in that Ranger bullpen. 2 aboard with nobody out here in the 6th. And a foul tip as Freese tried to get the bat back out of the way. And Tim Timmons said, I heard it. It ticked the bat. 0-2. So Freese now a .243 average after those 3 hits. Rangers looking for that double play ground ball. Still 0-2. Angels tonight and pretty good at scoring runs. They're 6 for 13 with runners in scoring position. And that had not been a strong suit for them this year. Kind of like the Rangers of late. Been having problems with it. Into the hole. Elvis at second. They get the force there on the sliding Ibar. Or Alberto, I'm sorry. Hanser Alberto just in the game, and he's able to make a nice play and get Ibar on the force. On to third goes Pujols, and Freeze aboard on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, it's one of those balls that's going to take a big hop, and he knows it. So he has to play back to get the hop. Doesn't give him a lot of time to get Ibar going to second. He has to throw it quickly. Gets a little help from Odor, who scooped that ball out of the dirt.
No runners at the corners. Now one out. Matt Joyce takes inside and low for ball one. We're talking about Hanser Alberto. We have not had a chance to see him all that much at shortstop. No. And he was voted the Gold Glove winner in the minor leagues last year at shortstop. The best defensive shortstop in all of minor league baseball. And that's a pretty lofty accomplishment. Young man can really pick it at short. Rangers have had a need for him to play second and third. And tonight he's able to go back to the position that he has played the most of in his professional career. And Joyce lofts a fly ball down the left field line. Pujols will tag as Hamilton makes the catch, and Pujols will stay right there. Hamilton delivers a one-hop strike to the plate.
Well, Josh has made a couple of throws since he's been back. I think he's throwing better now than he ever was. That was a strong throw.
But the hamstring obviously didn't affect his throwing.
Didn't hurt his arm, did it?
Now 2 away. Runners still at the corners, and C.J. Cron will come up for his fourth at bat. Cron an RBI single in the second. He is also grounded out and struck out. And Bass pours in strike one, the off-speed pitch. Cron hitting at .202. He has upped his RBI total to 8 for the year. Nothing in 2. So Anthony trying to work around a pair of leadoff singles. He had 2 on and nobody out. And he's trying to keep this at the current 8-0 deficit. 85th pitch of the night for Bass. And that pitch is pulled foul. Anthony's been on since the second inning. Not the final out of the second. Fans out here on a gorgeous evening on this Friday. Got him swinging. Nice pitch by Bass to get the strikeout, and further damage is prevented. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Rangers trailing 8-0. the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $2,300 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Joy Weiss from Dallas will win $2,300. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Joy is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now the top of the order to face Garrett Richards. Rougned Odor 0 for 2 tonight. A strikeout and a ground out. And the first pitch to him is inside for ball one. Rougned a .231 average. Odor with that 6-game hitting streak coming in here tonight. Chops one to first base. Pujols underhands to Richards in a bang play. Richards just able to beat Odor to the bag. Rougned hightailing it down that line and almost got himself a hit.
Yeah, most of the Ranger runners are taking their cue from Prince Fielder. They hit the ball on the ground. They're going 100% all the way to first base.
First baseman.
He wasn't out by much. You can see his foot is probably 4 inches from the bag when Richards' foot hits the bag. Boy, what a great camera shot. Richards doing whatever he can to avoid getting stepped on.
Well, that's a great point you bring up about Prince Fielder, Tom. That, you know, here's a guy who's coming back from the neck surgery, a pretty tough injury, and you do not see him waste any time on any kind of ground ball getting to first base.
No.
I mean, he is busting it down there the whole time. And if you're a guy that is in good health or has been in good health and you don't run it hard, people are going to look at you like, what's wrong with you?
Well, the best way to get everybody to hustle on a ball club is if the star player is the one who hustles the most.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult to get everybody to do it if the best guys on the team aren't doing it themselves. And there are guys on certain teams that really don't hustle to first base all the time. Look at that shot. And you get a look at how that little protector on his ankle is fastened on there.
You also get a look at how busy that bag gets on some plays where you got a lot of cleats intermingling over there.
Not a lot of room on one bag for 2 cleats.
There really isn't. Mitch Moreland 1 out of 2 tonight. Had a first inning single. Mitch down in the count, or even in the count at 2-2. And he couldn't stop his swing in time as Garrett Richards gets his 5th strikeout. 2 away, and Prince Fielder coming up. Well, folks, it's a rematch 4 years in the making. Sunday, it's the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup Final. The Team USA, 2011 runner-up, takes on the defending champion, Japan. Coverage begins at 4 p.m. on your local Fox station and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. That is going to be a dandy. Well, Prince Fielder 0 for 2 tonight. Hit the ball right on the nose last time, lined to deep left field. Garrett Richards now has retired the last 12 Ranger hitters that he's faced. He has gotten on a roll, and so much for not being able, or some people not being able to pitch with a big lead. I think Garrett Richards is not in that group. He just gave him a lead in the 2nd inning, and he has not looked back since. 1-1 pitch. A ball and 2 strikes, and still throwing hard. Fielder a .343 average as he faces Richards. Prince coming off the road trip. It saw him go 10 for 28. That's a .357 average. Two and two. Fielder, another one of the Rangers that's hit very well against the Angels. Prince has a 9-game hitting streak on the line against Los Angeles here tonight. It's seen him hit an even 400. Another foul off to the left. Well, Prince and Josh Hamilton, Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrus, all of them enjoy hitting against the Angels. Angels, last year, have really turned the tables on the Rangers. Rangers had their way with the Angels for a span of about 4 years. That's in the gap in right center field and deep. One hop and off the wall. And Fielder make that a 10-game hitting streak against the Angels. His double, the first hit of the night for him.
Well, that ball just jumped off Prince's bat 400 feet. And it looked like just a case of what he does frequently with 2 strikes. He takes a 2-strike approach. He's just trying to kind of play Pepper back through the middle. Reaches out for a pitch away. And just kind of one-hands it 400 feet to right center field. I think he's got one of the best 2-strike approaches in the league, especially for a power hitter.
Yeah.
None of those guys are going up there swinging the same on every pitch. He makes a definite effort to make contact with 2 strikes.
Adrian Beltre taking inside for ball 1. Beltre has grounded out twice. So Fielder's hit, snapping that 12-hitter retired streak for Garrett Richards. Out of play down the right side, back into the seats. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You don't get a lot of good pitches to hit from Richards, but that looked like one of them. That was a curveball that stayed up. And the thing you just don't know with Adrian is what that hand feels like. So many times as the hand comes off the bat.
Up the middle into center field, a base hit. Fielder around third will score without a throw. Beltre the base hit. And the Rangers are on the board. It's 8-1.
Well, he had a pretty good curveball to hit, fouled it off, then got another one. And this time he didn't miss it. Served it right back up the middle. Hard hit ground ball. The Rangers get on the board with 2 outs. The curveball stays up a little bit, right in the center of the plate. Back-to-back balls like that. That time Adrian ripped it.
Well, Beltre with his 21st RBI of the year. Fielder scoring. Now Josh Hamilton. Going after that high fastball. It is 0-1. Hamilton both times tonight against Garrett Richards has gone down swinging. Richards has gotten ahead with a fastball and then struck him out with a breaking ball in the dirt. Josh hitting at .281. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hamilton over the years in this ballpark against the Angels. A .362 average. 35 RBI in 33 games. That's inside to him, 2-1. Angels in the defensive overshift. Everybody on the right side of the diamond with the exception of David Freese. Line to right field, hooking down to the corner. 1 hop and to the wall. Beltre being held at third. Hamilton into second with a double. And the Rangers getting through to Garrett Richards here in this 6th inning with 2 outs. Double, single, double.
Yeah, it's another curveball that stays right near the middle of the plate. Until this inning, Richards pretty much was burying that curveball down and around the knees or below. And this inning, he started to get them up a little bit. Beltre hit one, Josh just hit one.
Well, Mike Butcher out there to slow things down a little bit. Richard, the pitching coach for Mike Scioscia's club. All this with 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Shin-Soo Choo now will come up, try to keep this going. Choo a double in 2 trips. Double and a strikeout. First pitch coming from Richards. Giovanella has it, and that'll do it. Now the Rangers string together 3 hits for a run, but they strand 2. We have finished 6 here at Globe Life Park. It's the Angels 8 and the Rangers 1. Summary. It's been a lot of Angels. Cole Calhoun, the big blow in that 2nd inning, a 3-run double. That got the Angels on top 4-0. Eric Ibar back up the middle, a 2-run single. And the Angels were off and running. David Freese later on, one of his 3 hits, an RBI single in the 4th inning. And it's been all Angels here tonight. 8-1 as we head to the top of the 7th inning, and Neftali Feliz has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over for Anthony Bass.
And it'll be interesting to watch Neffy. Reports from the minor leagues seem to indicate that there were frequently times where his arm strength was solid, good velocity. The results and the numbers weren't great, but if he's healthy with great arm strength, maybe the opportunity to get back in the big leagues will provide that little impetus to bring the best out in him.
Adam Rosales is into the ball game to take over at first for Mitch Moreland. And Feliz's first pitch is in for a strike to Carlos Perez. Neffy activated yesterday. Came off the disabled list. Took the place of Nick Martinez, who was optioned to AAA. The way I understand it, more for just getting him some consistent rest. Talking about Nick, kind of manage his innings here with the All-Star break coming up. Feliz back to the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Perez has reached on an error. He has walked and struck out. 0 for 2 tonight, hitting .234. Neffy back to him. That's out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Feliz made 10 relief appearances down at Round Rock. His rehab assignment started on the 6th of June. Gave up 9 runs in 11 innings of work, 7.36 ERA. He had 4 walks, 11 strikeouts, and Pacific Coast League hitters batted .319 against him. The 2-2 pitch. Loop to right field. That's going to be in for a base hit. Now Perez with his first hit of the night, a leadoff single here in the 7th inning. And the Angels will go back to the top of the order for the 5th time tonight. Folks, slug your way to the Home Run Derby crown and master free award-winning game millions are playing. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free on the App Store and Google Play. Angels with their 14th hit of the night. Perez aboard. Johnny Giovotella takes long outside for ball 1. Giovotella 1 for 4. That was a 3rd inning single. .267 average for the Angels second baseman. 3 home runs, 27 driven in. 1-0 pitch. A lot of folks early in the season talking about the trades that the Angels made, specifically about Howie Kendrick. Traded him to the Angels and really left them without the customary run-producing second baseman that they'd had in Kendrick for a number of years.
Yeah, that's a tough loss for the offense when you take a veteran like Kendrick out of the middle of the lineup. Giovatella's doing a nice job, but Kendrick was a veteran guy that Rangers, obviously we see him 19 times a year. We saw him do a lot of good things against the Rangers.
3-0 pitch. Now 3-1. Yeah, it seemed like if you were in need of a big hit, he was always, at least against the Rangers, on the spot to do it. Now applying his trade is Howie Kendrick for the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Pitch is popped up, foul territory. Rosales coming down the line, calling off Chirinos. Adam makes the grab for out number 1. A good play by Rosales, taking charge of that foul pop. Next will be Cole Calhoun. Chichi Gonzalez talking with Colby Lewis there. And what a great guy to kind of sneak up on, stand next to, and bounce things off of Colby and try and get into his head a little bit, ask him what he thinks. Colby, one of the guys that doesn't say a whole lot, but when he starts talking, there's a wealth of knowledge coming out. And Colby can kind of commiserate with Chichi. Inning and 2/3 for Gonzalez tonight. 6 runs on 5 hits and 2 walks. One ball and 1 strike to Calhoun. Calhoun 2 for 4 tonight. Those 2 doubles. He has driven in 4. Well, 40 runs driven in for the season for the Angel right fielder. And he skies this one to shallow center. Alberto going out in front of Leonis Martin. He makes the catch for out number 2. Back to first is Carlos Perez.
Those are some big eyes, boy.
Center fielder Mike Trout.
I think he's looking around for something to eat. Here's Mike Trout. Trout with a base hit in 3 official trips. Trout a .304 average as Phillies misses outside. Neftali Feliz in a ball game at the big league level for the first time in about 7 weeks. Last appearance that Feliz had was the 19th of May against Boston. That pitch low and away. 2-0 to Trout. Phillies back to the plate. 3-0. Well, Neffy, I think you can understand with might be a little bit of rust trying to knock off the pitching mechanics. And a strike makes it 3-1. Believes okay is the sign. The 3-1 pitch to Trout. This one popped up. That is going to be back into the seats. Oh, full count. Angels with 6 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Rangers got on the board with 1 in the bottom of the 6th. 2 outs, a full count to Mike Trout. Lost him. No, he didn't either. Tim Timmons, on a second thought, he called Trout out. Well, that's going to do it. Phillies gives up a base hit, strands a runner. We'll take the stretch in Arlington, 8-1 in favor of the Angels. And let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
As we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world. The Texas Rangers invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
in baseball, but on one night, they all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 14th, only on Fox. And don't forget to visit TexasRangers.com/vote to send Fielder, Beltre, and Moreland to the game. Hanser Alberto leading off for the Rangers here in the bottom of the 7th inning. His first at bat of the night. And Garrett Richards continuing to pump in mid-90s fastballs. Alberto at .254 with no home runs and 3 driven in. Chopper to the left side, and Freese cuts it off. 1 gone. Well, before Leonis Martin steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Thank you, Dana. Leonis Martin taking strike 1. Martin a ground out and a walk tonight, 0 for 1. .224 average for the Rangers center fielder. Showing signs the last few days anyway of putting together some better at bats. He's been working hard at trying to take the ball back up the middle, and Tom mentioned that last night he did it to great effect in that 9th inning.
Yeah, won the ball game.
Two and 1. But it seems like, at least the impression I get is, you do it one night, and when you've been in a slump for a while, it's like the next day it doesn't matter what you just did. You go back to what you've been doing.
Yeah, you have to fight. Yeah, definitely have to fight that.
There is a strike to make it 2 and 2. Well, Richards, you would think might be in his last inning of work. Next pitch will be his 91st or 90th of the night. And call strike 3 as Leonis got caught window shopping. Richards with his 6th strikeout. Make that 5th strikeout of the night, or 6th. 2 gone, and Robinson Chirinos coming up. Chirinos has flied to left and lined to short. Oh and 1. Robinson a .203 average as he faces Richards here in the 7th inning. Oh and 2. Now tomorrow night, don't forget now, Wandy Rodriguez teeing it up for the Rangers. Hector Santiago, another left-hander for the Los Angeles Angels. I'd say another left-hander. It seems like the Rangers see one right-hander about every other week lately. You can see Santiago and then C.J. Wilson on Sunday, the scheduled starter. Tomorrow night, don't forget, on July 4th now, it's an 8 o'clock start. Fireworks right after. And Sunday will be a 6 o'clock start for the finale of this 3-game series. Rangers we're hoping they could bring in some momentum off the series win against the Orioles. 15-19 here at home. Chirinos drives one to center. Trout retreating and makes the catch. It's an 11-pitch, 1-2-3 inning for Garrett Richards. Rangers gone. We finished 7 at Globe Life Park. It's 8-1 Los Angeles.
Fan of the game. It's got to go to Melita. She comes all the way in from Lubbock, taking in her very first Ranger game. David Dixon from the finest Fort Worth Police Department. Tell us about what this is all about.
Well, Melita, she's my grandmother, and she's been a Rangers fan for more than 30 years and has never come to a game. So we kind of tricked her, told her we were bringing her out to surprise her. Got her decked out in some clothes and brought her to a Ranger game. She didn't even know it.
There you go. And she always watches on television from Lubbock. And Melita, congratulations. Fan of the game. Anything you'd like to say?
Go Rangers!
There we go. All right, Buzz.
Oh, that's great. Melita, you keep right on watching. Enjoy your night out here. Neftali Feliz back to the hill now. He will start his second full inning of work, and Albert Pujols will greet him. Pujols 1 for 3, a single and a walk tonight. 1 ball and no strikes. Pujols singled his last time up. Well, that batting average at .264. Slider hits the inside corner. 1-1. Ryan Rua has come into the ball game. He takes over in left field for the Rangers. Josh Hamilton's night has come to a conclusion. Popped up behind home plate, and Robinson Chirino staying with it. 1 gone. That's the third pop-up that Neftali's gotten, and usually you see a guy get a lot of pop-ups that his fastball a little bit quicker up in the zone than guys think. Well, that's good news, and you were concerned about Neftali and the inconsistency in the velocity. When he's throwing like this, you can sure see that he's getting back to where he was, back closer to where he was. Eric Ibar, a perfect night, 4 for 4 this evening. 3 singles and a double. 1 ball, no strikes. Ibar with a couple of runs driven in also. He scored twice. He's been right in the middle of virtually all the offensive work that the Angels have done. 8 runs, 14 hits for the Angels. 1 run, 5 hits for the Rangers. One ball and 1 strike.
Well, Ibar is looking like a 5th place hitter tonight, Buzz.
Yeah, he is. You're right.
4 for 4, a double. He scored twice, knocked in a couple.
The 1-1. Foul back.
Took a little off that one. 87 miles an hour.
Yeah, just the fact that Eric Ibar is about 4'8" or whatever he is. Don't let that fool you. He's swinging a big bat tonight. No, he's 5'11", 5'10".
One year Dustin Pedroia batted 4th for a little while.
Yeah.
When they had some injuries.
Yeah.
How about Freddie Patek? Did he ever bat 4th?
No, never saw Freddie bat 4th. He thought he should have batted 4th. Though. Worst thing that ever happened to Freddie is he hit 2 home runs in Detroit one night. He was dead for the next month. He was trying to hit everything 600 feet. Freddie was a lot like Pedroia, though. He'd come out of his shoes swinging. He was big old long bat, and he'd never get cheated. Didn't believe in choking up. Another 1-2 pitch. And another foul ball. I'm still amazed at Pedroia, though, how he can swing as hard as he does and make the contact that he does.
Yeah, he's got incredible hand-eye coordination. Last year and this year, not having the same kind of seasons that he's had in the past.
And tried the back door with a breaking ball and couldn't find the handle. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Ibar with a 4 for 4 night has raised his batting average some 10 points. He's up to 271 now. poked right down the third baseline. He's going to have another base hit. Adrian Beltre playing over in the hole, way off the line, and couldn't do a thing about it. That's a 5-hit night for Eric Ibar, a career tops of 5 hits. He had never had a 5-hit night before, and he does now.
Ibar tends to get a lot of infield hits. He'll lay down a bunt occasionally. Good pitch by Neffy. That ball really had some movement, tailed right out of the strike zone. Ibar started his swing, kept with his swing, just barely made some contact. It was about 6 inches outside. But he sure tapped it in a fortunate spot for him.
So Ibar aboard again, 5th time tonight. David Freese, who is 3 for 4, takes strike 1. Infield hits. Ibar in 4th place in the American League. And David Freese fouling that pitch back. 0-2. And the Rangers have one of their own in Delino DeShields, who gets a lot of infield hits, and he's still, despite having been on the disabled list for the last 3 weeks, still tied with the for the most bunt base hits with Leonis Martin. Alberto to second, and they will turn it over at first for the double play. 6-4-3, and that erases Ibar, who had singles. Bottom of the 8th coming up, 8-1 Angels.
Live Park, Angels leading the Rangers 8-1. It is the opener of this 8-game homestand to close the first half of season. Hard to believe we're already here. It is also the start, regardless of the outcome, of what should be an eventful holiday weekend here at the park. Middle game tomorrow. Albert Pujols struggling tonight. Yes, AL June Player of the Month is not having a night tonight. We hope the same tomorrow, as Adrian Beltre has done very well against these Angels in his career. Hoping for very different outcomes, of course, tomorrow. And following the game is the Papa John's post-game fireworks show set to patriotic music. And this little look here, fellas, brought to you by AT Uverse. 8 o'clock start tomorrow. And fellas, nothing rings in the 4th like a little fireworks and a little Texas Rangers baseball, huh?
All right, Aaron, yeah, you're exactly right. Use a little fireworks here tonight. The Rangers, the last couple of innings, get back in this thing, and Garrett Richards still going strong, 96 pitches into this ball game. Rougned Odor leading things off. It's a roller out to second. That is 1 away. Now some defensive changes for the Angels as we've gone to the 8th inning. Efren Navarro has taken over at first base for Albert Pujols. Daniel Robertson former Ranger, out in left field now as he takes over for Matt Joyce. And the new third baseman that we will show you is Taylor Featherston. A 1 out. Adam Rosales goes after that first pitch with a vengeance and fouls it straight back. There's the new third baseman, Taylor Featherston. Rosales a .233 average. That pitch just a little bit low. It's 1-1. 3 home runs, 7 driven in. Chopper out to short. And Ibar for out number 2. A lot of ground balls tonight again for Garrett Richards. Well, he has a heavy sinking fastball with a 2-seamer and a good cutting fastball. Folks, it's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag Southwest Data StrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. That's all brought to you by the good folks at T-Mobile. Prince Fielder 1 for 3 tonight. He has scored the only Ranger run. That was after doubling in the 6th. Pitch outside to him. 2 balls and no strikes. Fielder right where he began average wise at .345. Richards back to the plate and gets the call on the backdoor breaking ball. Prince, another multi-hit game. That is his 35th of the year, and that is far and away the most in Major League Baseball.
That's about as consistent as you can imagine a hitter being from day one of the season. Seems like he's been hitting between .340 and .350 the whole season. And he's just making solid contact. Another example of it there. Ball on the top of the strike zone. He gets on top of it. Rips that ball up the middle. Last time up with 2 strikes, he hit one 400 feet to right center field. And that'll be the last batter that Richards faces tonight.
Yep, Mike Scioscia out there taking the ball from Richards. He is finished after 7 2/3 innings. Fernando Salas, the right-hander, called from the bullpen while he makes his way in. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. Folks, our TXU Energy Power Player of the game is Garrett Richards. 27-year-old out of Edmond, Oklahoma, and he was every bit the power player tonight. They had 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk, 7 2/3 innings, and only 1 run so far. 104 pitches tonight for Garrett Richards, our TXU Energy Power Player of the game.
Well, that's pretty much what you expect from Garrett Richards. Last season, he had 4 starts against the Rangers. He was 4-0 in those 4 starts with a 2.05 ERA. He's had 12 starts now for his career. If they hold on and win this, he'll be 7-1 with an ERA a little bit below 3 probably. Well, he's been very consistent against the Rangers. We've seen the same stuff every time we see him.
And the 30-year-old right-hander Fernando Salas has come in to take over. This is his 37th game. He's an often used relieving piece. And this one popped up by Adrian Beltre around the bag at second. Ibar corrals it, and that will do it. Rangers get a hit from Prince Fielder, but strand him. After 8 innings here at Globe Life Park, it's the Angels 8 and the Rangers 1.
Tonight, but we are here in good times and not as good. Dana Larson reminding you that we've got the post-game show coming up right after the game. Mac and Pudge will help us shine a light on this one. We'll hear from the manager, Jeff Bannister, reaction from the clubhouse, set up the middle game tomorrow as well, and some big Dallas Mavericks news. We'll have it all for you coming up right after the game. But now we'll get it back to Steve Busby and Tom Grieve, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. And we head to the top of the 9th inning. And the 29-year-old left-hander Ross Detweiler out of St. Louis area on for his 15th appearance of the year. His 8th relief outing. Last time we saw Ross was in the Toronto series. Worked an inning, gave up a couple of runs against the Blue Jays, gave up a home run to Edwin Encarnacion in that ball game. So Detweiler on here, and he will be facing former Ranger Daniel Robertson.
Well, the Rangers would love to get Ross on a good run. I think that would give Jeff Bannister the confidence to use him more frequently and more in key situations. Arm strength is there. Got a pretty good curveball. Just a matter of consistently going out and throwing the ball where he wants to. And to get more opportunity to do that, you have to have success. So hopefully that'll start to come for Ross, and he'll get worked into the regular rotation out there in the bullpen.
And Robertson going after the first 2 pitches he sees, hits the second one out to Leonis Martin. That is out number 1. You know, a couple of pretty good fastballs there from Ross. 94 miles an hour, and got him in and up a little bit to Robertson. Now 1 gone. Here's C.J. Cron. Cron tonight has singled in 4 trips. Had an RBI base hit back in the second. Also scored a run that inning. First pitch at the knees on the inside corner. An even 200 is what C.J. Cron is hitting. And that is out of play to the right. 0-2. Cron recalled at the beginning of this past week on Monday night, making the third time that he had been up with the Angels this year. And Ross Detweiler not wasting any time. He had 95 in his back pocket. 2 gone.
And Cron's a good fastball hitter too. We've seen him struggle to hit the breaking ball in this game. But this time the fastball right by him. Good fastball.
Well, Detweiler, 5 pitches, they've all been strikes. He's got 2 quick outs. Carlos Perez, the catcher, takes ball 1. Perez singled his last time up. He is 1 for 3. Also has a walk and a run scored. One ball, 1 strike.
Getting swings and misses at his fastball today. And this kind of stuff that gets you another opportunity, for a more frequent opportunity.
Right.
Come in and throw strikes like this.
Yeah, we saw that happen to Sam Freeman. He had a outing in Los Angeles against the Dodgers like that. Came in and blowing people away. And you know, he's gotten several opportunities since then because of that outing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And there's no reason why Ross can't do the same thing.
Right. Ahead of the count, 1-2 to Perez. Oh, that thing. Perez.
That's better than a strikeout.
That is. That's the one that'll make Ross Detweiler smile all the way back to the dugout. 3 up, 3 down, bottom of the ninth coming up. 8-1 Los Angeles. Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. Now let's go back to the last out of the top of the ninth inning. Our Phantom camera is showing you the explosion of that bat. Look at that thing.
That's what happens when you hit it right there.
Sometimes you just get an extra hinge put in the bat, but That one just sawed it completely off. Ryan Rua getting his first at bat. And Mike Morin serves up a fly ball to deep right field. Goodbye. First pitch to Ryan Rua. He goes the other way as he did in Baltimore. His third home run of the year. It's an 8-2 Angel lead. Talking about getting an opportunity in a ball game and making the most of it.
Yeah, we've seen that happen to a couple of guys tonight.
Ryan Rua with the home run.
I just have the feeling there's a lot more in the tank for Ryan Rua than what he's had an opportunity to show this year. But in order to get the chance to go out there frequently, you have to perform. And every time you get a chance, you keep doing that, you're going to get more opportunities.
Chu is soft grounded to second for out number 1. Jinsu now 1 for 4 after that ground out. And to bring up Hanser Alberto. Good look more phantom cam at the contact by Rua. Well, Mike Morin with an off-speed pitch. He has a great changeup, and that was a changeup that knocked down Hanser Alberto. Can you say that, a knockdown changeup?
Yeah, you can. Knockdown changeup doesn't really inspire a lot of fear on the hitter's part, but if you're going to get knocked down, I guess I'd rather get knocked down with a changeup any day.
And Morin misses low and inside. That's 2 balls, no strikes. Alberto in his previous at bat in this ball game grounded to third. And Morin pumps in a strike. 2-1. Morin, a 24-year-old, just turned 24 a month and a half ago. Grew up in Overland Park, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City. Went to North Carolina. Alberto offs a fly ball. Ibar going out and just in fair territory. Eric Ibar able to run it down. That is out number 2.
Ibar is so quick. He got to that ball easily. That's quite a ways down the left field line.
Well, 2 away, bases empty, and Leonis Martin 0 for 2 tonight with a walk will step in. Leonis last 2 times up has grounded out and been called out on strikes. Morin with the first pitch to him. Hard hit ball knocked down by Giovanella, and that's going to do it. Leonis grounds out. The Rangers come up with a run in the 9th inning, but they fall short as the Angels win the first game of this 3-game holiday weekend series. 8-2 is the final. Now we will we'll come back to Globe Life Park to wrap things up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.